start recording now. And once I am done recording the entire workshop, I will typically upload it within 24 to 48 hours, depending on how long it takes me to send the video up to YouTube. So I won't necessarily share it with all of you, but you can access it on our YouTube page. You just search for the Louisiana School for the Deaf and you type in or look for our playlist titled Family Workshop Series, and I'll upload it there. So just check in about a day or two and it'll be on there with captioning and the interpreter available as well. Does anyone have any questions before we get started with Sylvie? Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat, so I am going to turn off my camera, but if y'all need anything and you have any technical issues, then you just send me a message in the chat and I'll be happy to help. Thank you so much. Sylvie, it is all yours.
Thank you, Natalie. Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This presentation is going to be only an hour, so we're going to try to get started really quick. Thank you for joining. My name is Sylvie Sullivan. I work as an interpreter. Today, some of my colleagues are interpreting for us, Tammy and Jennifer. They're really great. And if I get nervous and start speaking too fast, they're going to interrupt me and tell me to slow down because I should know better. Just a little bit about me, the reason why I'm doing this presentation. We've had a lot of exposure to ASL since, to American Sign Language since, during the pandemic, and a lot of people show a lot of interest. But oftentimes people are nervous or don't know where to get started or how to learn. Learning a language is complicated and is difficult. This is not a sign language class. I'm not a sign language teacher, but I'm a polyglot that speak different languages. And so there are techniques that make language learning easier. You may think you're a polyglot, you're lucky, you grew up with many languages. I did not. I was monolingual like most people, was exposed to English in school and could not speak it for the longest time. So most of the languages I learned were as an adult. And so the techniques that I've used and that I use to improve are very simple, and they might be different from what you've experienced in the school system. So that's pretty much about me. Yes, so now I want to know a little bit more about who is here today. I wish I could see faces, but I'll just have to imagine you guys for now, and then maybe later on we can turn on our cameras at the end. What I'm going to do though, if you can look at your screen, I'm about to just send you a couple of questions, a little poll, just to see what kind of people we have here and what brought you basically to have interest in learning American Sign Language. So I have just sent a poll if you look at your devices, and just go ahead and take a second and answer for me, please. So the question is, who is deaf or hard of hearing in your life? And have you taken a sign language class, or are you taking a sign language class right now? Okay, looks like everybody answered. No, not yet, just a moment. I'll give it another 10 seconds. And I think if I end the poll, I think everybody should be able to see the answers, if I'm not mistaken. Or are you guys seeing the answers right now? I'm not sure. But it looks like a lot of people, the majority of people, either don't know a deaf person right now or have a son or a daughter who goes to school. And we have some people with coworkers or young children who are deaf in their life. That's great. And the great majority of people have taken a sign language class. That's awesome. Great. And oh, there you go. I can share the results with you guys. I'm sorry. I don't usually do polls. Thank you. That gives me a little idea of who is here today. And there we go. So now I wanted to share with you a PowerPoint. And I'm going to be asking you guys a few true or false questions. Just type the answer in the chat. It's very simple, but it's just to get an idea. where you stand on language learning and maybe demystify some myths. Just a moment, let me share my screen. There it is. You guys should be able to see this, and I should be able to see you in just a minute. There we go. All right, so first question, and the already answer is true or false. Some people cannot learn a second language. I'm seeing a lot of false, a couple of true, a big majority of false, and those who said false, you are correct. I'm just playing right here, just a moment. Okay, it is false. If you have learned one language, your brain can learn a second one, a third one, a fourth one. But levels of proficiency and interest may vary. And just like everyone can learn how to cook, but not everyone will become a chef. Everyone can learn how to paint. Not everyone can be Michelangelo. I don't have a sports analogy, but you get the drift. So everyone has an ability. If you can speak one language right now, you can learn a second one. That's a guarantee. Which leads me to the second question. True or false? I did terrible in foreign language classes in school, so I will never be good at it. Go ahead and tell me in the chat. I think you guys are getting the gist of it. There's a lot of falses. So yeah, you're right. It's true. Even if you didn't do well in school, you're perfectly capable of learning second languages. So what is the issue? Why is it so hard for some individuals? Well, one reason is this, and here's a picture of nervous system in the brain. We're going to do about 30 seconds of biology. I promise you it's not going to be very long. Oftentimes schools don't necessarily teach foreign languages in a very useful way. So a lot of times schools use memorization. And in the brain, memory involves mainly two things, what's called the prefrontal lobe, so that's inside your forehead, and the hippocampus, which is smack in the middle. And that's where memory happens without getting too deep. But language and communications involves two areas. One of them is called Broca's area, B-R-O-C-A, and Wernicke's area, W-E-R-N-I-C-K-E for the interpreter. So those two are located on the left side of the brain. Now that's the only biology we're going to do today, but why that matters is because too often school and courses, they focus on memorizing vocabulary, memorizing grammar, but not actually linking it with the part of the brain that does the communicating. And basically what I'm trying to say is that if you didn't do too well learning in school, it's not your fault. I've had English classes from 4th grade on every single semester of every single year. And I remember the first time at 15 years old, I went to a McDonald's in an English speaking area and I could not order a hamburger. So it's not a fault, or it's not because there's any defect. It's just sometimes the learning is not happening in the right part of the brain. All right, got a couple more questions. How about this one? True or false? Women are better than men at learning languages. I'm not trying to be sexist. Let's just, your thoughts on that. I'm seeing a true, a couple of false. Okay, true, 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 false. We have a variety of opinions on that one, right? Maybe. I like that. Children are even better. It's true. And there's a reason for that. Okay, so a lot of truths. So the answer to that one, the jury's still out. In our Western culture, it is often true, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's necessarily a biological reason for that. And frankly, I don't know how much that has been studied, but my personal observation is this. A lot of men in our culture, not all, but a lot of men take a more technical approach. So this is what often I've taught a French class, and a man would say, well, let me just sit back here. I'm going to study it and I'm going to learn it and I'm going to understand it and then I'm going to get it right. And once I do that, I'll speak it. That's, how men oftentimes in our culture have more of an emphasis on rank, perhaps. They may be more concerned with how they're viewed and they may hold back in expressing themselves. I think we're going to switch interpreter. There we go. In our culture, though, Women, not always, but a lot of times women focus on communications. Like a woman may be learning Spanish and she sees another woman. She goes, "Oh my goodness, I like your shoes. I just have to tell you." She goes, "Zapatos, buenos, buenos." She's not a formal sentence. It's not said properly, but basically the message came across. And somebody mentioned in the chat, Kelly Johnson said, children are even better. Oftentimes because children have something to say and they're not too concerned about how they look. So language is alive and it can't be learned without actually communicating. A person who wants to learn a language by reading books, watching videos, and studying is like someone who wants to learn how to swim by reading books, watching videos, and studying. They won't know how to swim until they actually get in the water. All right, I believe this is my last questions. Another true or false. Is it best to learn ASL from a deaf person? True or false? I see true, I see yes, true, 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 true. Oh, one false. Interesting. Lots of trues. And a lot of people are thinking about it. True, false, depends. Okay. Depends, yes. It depends on the level of language. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. If you're thinking about a young child, maybe who doesn't know the language yet. Very good. Well, the answer in general is very, very true. Whether you're talking about a formal sign language class or being around a deaf person, deaf people have to be a central part of your learning experience. If learning sign language is like swimming, deaf people are your water. And here's the reason. First of all, it's best to learn with a native speaker. And now we understand that not all deaf people are necessarily native speakers of American Sign Language because some of them were not exposed to it until later in life. So that's true. It's not, that maybe would not necessarily apply as much in that situation, but if they have become fluent in it, then they're an excellent teacher. The other thing is being with a deaf person or communicating with a deaf person will force you to communicate. And there comes the need to communicate, and it make you make efforts that you would not otherwise do. Also, it shows a measure of respect for the community and the culture. Deaf people created sign language and they share it with us. So it shows some respect to rely on deaf individuals to learn their language. However, a deaf person, even if they're teaching you in a formal class, they're not responsible for your learning. You're actually going to need to do some work, and we'll learn about that next. But hearing people who know sign language will have a place in your learning, because the way deaf people learn and the way hearing people learn is a little bit different. Native users versus second language users. And since you're going to be a second language user, you also want to be supported by people who've had the same experience as you. If you were to say you were trying to travel to China, you wanted to learn Chinese, Chinese people will be your best exposure to the language and will be excellent teachers. But if you meet another American or another English speaking person who has gone through your journey, then it can help lead you also. So, both are really important, but the native speakers of the language are crucial. Now, how do we do it? Where do we get started? And I think that's where a lot of people get stumbled, right? It's complicated. If you look at a dictionary, there's a lot of pages. What do you choose to begin with? So I've put together 4 characteristics of your methods. Everybody may have a different style. Everyone may learn in a little bit different manner, and you have to adapt to your needs, but there are 4 criteria that have to be met, and here's what they are. So first of all, your language learning method will have to allow you to start right away. It has to be relevant to your life. It has to focus on meaningful communication first and accuracy second. We'll discuss that in a little bit. And also it has to include regular and varied exposure. So let's see. And by the way, this is short an hour to be able to discuss this topic, and I get really excited. I could talk about it for a long time, so I'm going to try to go through this a little bit quick. So for the language, first of all, your language learning technique has to allow you to start right away. Let me ask you a question. You can put the answer in the chat. How many words does a person, in general, just kind of a guesstimate, how many words does a person need to know before they can start to begin communicating in a new language? Just average, give me an average-ish? How many words does a person need to get started? Three to five, one. All right, people are starting small. 10 to 20, 1 to 3, 250, 10. As long as you can get your point across, I like that. 2, 20 to 50. That's varied. And I think you all have probably less than 10, 500. Okay. I think that you all have probably maybe read or seen some research on the topic. The answer really to begin speaking, we just need one word: hello. So if a person were to go to Germany and learn to say Guten Tag, which is technically two words, but just work with me. Uh, what say bonjour in French, just to say hello, then you can spend all day walking around the city and say hello to people, and you're communicating. So in sign language, if once you learn the word hello, interpreter, Vanna White, the word hello, there you go, thank you, then you can begin communicating. It's actually, that's the start. With 5 words, with only five words in any language, you can be polite. So we have hello, with please, thank you, excuse me, and you're welcome. You can already be polite. With about 20 words, we can handle basic conversations. About 50 words, we can get around and buy stuff. And then after that, depending on our needs, then we can specify our areas. And the reason why I mentioned this is because it's a lot less overwhelming. See, when we start thinking that before we can do anything, we need to have a certain amount of knowledge, it's scary, right? But if you realize that you can go around to a deaf event and know 5 words, you can say hello and be polite with people. You can spend all day walking around bumping people and just say, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. You can point at things, then when they give it to you, say thank you. That's actually meaningful communication. It's not in depth, but it's a good way to get started. And after that, we can build on. Here's a fun slide. These are not words for you to memorize, but this right here are the 100 most common words used in the English language. If you were to read any books, listen to any conversations, these are the top 100 that are used the most often. And we, of course, when learning sign language, it would not necessarily be the same words. Like, for example, ASL does not use determinants, but notice there's a few things that stand out. First of all, we have pronouns, right? All the pronouns as well as the possessive pronouns. So I, my, you, your, his, her, him, they. So the pronouns are there, which are very easy to learn in American Sign Language. We have questions that elicit direct answers. So when, where, how, who. Notice that why is not on that list, because once we start asking why, it's more difficult to get an answer. It's a more complicated answer. There are basic verbs. So, oops, there you go. There we go. There are basic verbs as well. So that's, once we have our first 5 to 10 vocabulary words that allow us to engage with people, this is just a concept or an idea of where we can go after that. So that's the first part. So let's not think that it takes so much work, that it takes so much studying before we can communicate with people. And it goes back to what I mentioned earlier, that some individuals feel like they have to study and learn and for weeks and months before they can actually begin to communicate. But it's not. Just a few words. The moment that you've learned them, go ahead and meet a deaf person and use it. Go ahead and be in a setting where you have to use it. So that was point number 1. To use a language learning method that will allow you to start right away. The other one that's extremely important is this. Whatever method you use has to be relevant to your life, more exactly to the relationships in your life. So earlier we saw the types of relationships that you all have with individuals. We had a lot of people that had a deaf child. Some people had a deaf relative. Quite a few had deaf co-workers, right? So in those relationship, what is it that you want or need to communicate? And that's where sometimes a lot of classes and a lot of language learning methods miss the mark. I don't want to name any expensive language learning software because I don't want to embarrass Rosetta Stone, but some of these language learning software teach phrases like in Spanish, a famous one is el mono es romántico, which means the monkey is romantic. I just want to point out that Jennifer knew exactly how to spell that in Spanish. That was great. So unless you work at a zoo, there's no time or point in your life where you'll need to use that sentence. I can think of any anyways. So it's not relevant. So if what you're learning can't be applied, it will be forgotten. And what I would like to do right now is briefly, how many people do we have on here right now? We have, oh my goodness, we have about almost 60 people. That's awesome. I'm nervous now. uh, what I would like to do is send people in breakout rooms. My goal was if we had just a few people, I would send you out in breakout rooms by depending on the age group of the individual, the deaf individuals in your life. However, what I'm going to do right now is send everybody to random breakout rooms. We're going to take about 7 minutes. And what I would like you to do is, as a group, once you get there, 4 or 5 people as a group, just pick an age group, even though one of you might have a young child, one of you might have an older adult. Let's just imagine together, pick an age group and choose vocabulary of phrases that that would be useful. I'll give you an example. If you have a young child, is it useful to learn to say I love you? And I don't mean this I love you, the greeting. I mean the I love you that that's personal in the family. I will tell you, a lot of deaf adults often complain that some of their parents have not even learned to say that in their life. So just putting it out there. If you have a colleague who's deaf, a coworker who's deaf, what phrases would be useful? Saying, what time do you work on Wednesday? What time do you work on Thursday? If you have a relative that you visit at a certain time, it can be topics of health, about their house, if you have a friend who likes gardening. So just kind of brainstorm together, depending on your relationship in your life. Create a relationship for the breakout room that you're in. It might be varied, but let's go with that and come up with just a list of about 5 to 10 topics or vocabulary words that would be useful to learn. It has to be directly applicable to a relationship with that person. If that makes sense, can I get a and just as a Spanish speaker, I never used the sentence about the monkey being romantic. That's great. What I'm going to do, there we go, we have breakout rooms. So we have about 60 people, so I'm going to make 15 breakout rooms. And I'm actually, yes, include co-host and assigning. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and send everybody in breakout rooms right now, and we'll give it about 7 minutes and just come up, brainstorm, maybe 10 phrases or expressions that would be useful for the deaf person in your life. Sounds good? I'll presume I'm getting thumbs up. Going now. And you all should be invited to join breakout rooms, so just click the button. Tammy and Jennifer, if you guys want to go in this, I'm going to send you to the room that has um,
Will you just shoot me off because I don't know
yeah,
how?
let me
Okay.
Let me
Okay.
find where she is. Latonia, she's in room 1. So
Okay.
assign to 1 and assign to
All
1.
right. Got it.
Bye.
Bye.
And I'll start when we come back, Jennifer. Did I not go? I did not go.
You did not go. Do you want me to send you again?
Yeah, I'm looking on the list to see where you sent me, but go ahead and send me again.
Join the 1. Okay, so let me move you to 2. Don't take it. Then I'm going to move you back to 1. Hold on.
Okay.
Move to room 1. There you go.
Got it.
And let me see if
Thanks.
somebody's alone. Bye. Yes, I see a message from Miss Williams. Everyone has been sent to breakout rooms. Did you get a message that was sending you to a breakout room? We're going to get everybody back in about 1 minute.
I just wanted to ask, there should be audio in the breakout rooms. All participants now should have the ability to turn on their video and unmute their mic. So you should be able to hear everyone.
Yeah, I visited some rooms and people were chatting.
Yeah.
Okay, Miss Williams, good. Perfect. Welcome back. All righty. I'm not sure how everything went. I know some rooms were very chatty, some rooms were more quiet, some rooms people were talking via chat. But what I would like to ask, if maybe one person or a few people who feel who would like to, just type in the chat the age group that you chose and the type of phrases or vocabulary that you came up with. We'll take just a minute for that. So if anyone remembers what their group talked about, okay. Kindergarten, I need to go to the bathroom, I'm hurt, very good. Young teens, how was your day at school? Your favorite color? Text me. Yes, how the day went, what did you learn? Somebody chose the school age. What time is lunch? What is your phone number for high school? What do you want for dinner? For baby to young child, I like that. Identifying the family member, mom, dad, milk more, please, and thank you. No, wait, stop, want, potty. Age 6, go, stop, please, thank you. Things about pain, toys, emotions. I like that. For children, giving direction, asking for their favorite, questions about feelings, again, emotions. Somebody have seen Inside Out. Be careful, watch for cars, okay, depending where you live. 14, how was your day? How was practice? So I'm thinking somebody was in sports. Are you okay? Do you have homework? I like this. I'm so proud of you. That's beautiful. How do you feel? Yep. Shopping, family, and sports. Yep, those are useful terms. How was your day? A lot of people want to know, want to get that emotional connection. That's really good. Good job. Mommy's proud of you. That's sweet. Do you want to go to your friends? What are your friends' names? So an adult, oh, good morning, have a good day. Yeah. For an adult, what is your day? How are you? I'm fine, I'm good, I'm bad, and sick. Where do you work? Who's in your family? Somebody has a deaf boyfriend or wants to know the word for boyfriend. So if you have a teenager, that might be useful. Or an adult child. Nice, nice. So focusing like that gives you an opportunity to create your own phrase book. Because in a sign language class, the teacher has a curriculum, a very useful curriculum that's designed as a general, something general for everyone. It's like visiting a city and taking a tour by a tour guide. They'll bring you to the most popular place. They'll show you the main attractions. But after a while, you may want to go, if you're visiting New Orleans, you may want to go listen to some jazz music, or you may want to go to eat at Mother's, or you may be interested in a certain street, a certain area, or just sit by the waterfront. So the language class is general, is for everyone, but you are responsible to tailor your language learning to what you need. So it's a good idea to take time and actually sit down and write those down. Another tip can be to find out, because if you're not sure what exactly you need and you're guessing, what vocabulary do you need? Another tip may be to create a quiet moment. For example, at the dinner table, say for the first 10 minutes, we're not going to say a word, we're just going to sign. And after that 10 minutes, maybe you can discuss, what words would I wish I had known? I wanted you to pass me the ketchup. I didn't know how to say ketchup. If you get to work one morning, maybe at a lunch break, or engaging in a sports activity or an art activity, maybe you can say, let's spend the next 5 or 10 minutes without speaking, but only signing. And the things that stumble you, the things that give you that you go like, I wish I knew that word, then those are the ones to add to your vocabulary, list or your phrase book. All right, moving on, I'm going to share my screen again. And there we go. So relevant to your life was the second requirement for your language learning method. Just a moment, working technical thing. All right. The number 3 is this. You want to focus on meaningful conversation first and accuracy second. So if we define what language is, wait, let me move to the next slide. Language is, and this is a very, very technical drawing. Thank you very much. The arrow represents just a vehicle to transmit the information from your head to somebody's head. And depending on the language, if the information is I'm hungry, it can be said in all sorts of ways. It can be in many languages. And they all sound different. They all have different intonations. They use all different types of letters and phrases. But the point is, if you get your point across and the person understands in their head that you're hungry, then you've gotten the point across. And again, like I mentioned earlier, that's where we get away from the technicalities of having to be perfect. And for the perfectionist, that's really difficult, right? If we're a perfectionist, we want to get it all right. But when we are learning a language, we want to learn like a child. So those of you who have children in your life, when they're 1 or 2-year-old, what do? They imitate. They pick up anything that the adults say around them or the other children say around them, and they imitate them. And it doesn't always come out right. It doesn't always come out fluently in English, but they are being understood, and that's what communicating is about. Somebody mentioned I went to a workshop over the summer. We could not talk at all. We had to use ASL. The ASL window. Yep, there you go. And I'm sure you'll learn some more. I'm going to let the interpreter switch. There we go. All right. An example, a few years ago, I can't remember whether it was Babbel or Duolingo, one of those apps, and I was attempting to learn Italian. And I did it religiously, 30 minutes every single night. And after a month of that, I was able to say the apple is in the bowl, the apple is on the bowl is on the table, the bowl is under the table. But I couldn't say, hello, my name is Sylvie, how are you doing? Nice to meet you. So those phrases were meaningless. They were pointless. So when you create phrases like we did in a breakout room, make them something that you can use right away, but make them something that carry a thought. When we meet a deaf person, a lot of people will go and say, hello, my name is so-and-so. And the deaf person, if they have had this encounter many, many times, they'll often give you this facial expression. Because it's meaningless in their lives. It's just, okay, another deaf person who wants to show me that they can fingerspell their name. That's fantastic. And don't get me wrong, it's not that your effort is not appreciated, but it's not meaningful. Do you have a friend who likes sports? Then have phrases that Talk about sport. Do you have a friend who likes gardening like you? You know, a deaf person likes gardening. Have phrases that have to do with gardening. Does your child have a favorite book that they like you to read to them every night? Find out the terminology in the book, find out the words, or maybe just identify the characters in the book and read the book with them at night. But it has to be meaningful in your life. Also, a list memorization is not as useful as a phrase. So, for example, the days of the week. It's nice to know, but they're better with verbs. So a person can learn to say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but that does not engage in conversation. It's not meaningful quite yet on its own. But if you learn to say, what are you doing on Monday? Are you working Tuesday? When do you finish work Wednesday? Then those phrases become useful. You can actually engage in conversation with somebody. Just like the example of shoes that I mentioned earlier, that a woman might like another woman's shoes, and she gets her point across without using a proper grammar, but she's using that term, she's using the words, and because she's had an interaction with it, it's going to store in the right part of her brain, and she'll never forget that word. Is going to be part of her language. Again, the perfectionists are going to cringe at that, but I want to emphasize, learn something and then use it. So if I can get a couple of thumbs up, just to make sure you guys are still alive. The interpreter froze. The interpreter seems to be okay now. Yeah, I noticed a little freezing as well. Thank you, Gary Morgan, for that. Looks like, Jennifer, you're back with us. How are we doing on time? Oh my goodness, that went a little bit faster than I thought. Fourth and final way you have to have in your method is to include regular and varied exposure. In spoken languages, people are encouraged, when they're not speaking with a native speaker, they're encouraged to listen to the radio, watch television, go to a coffee shop, and just be surrounded by the thought, by the sounds of that language. I think we are having freezing problem with the interpreters.
Yeah, is everyone able to see okay? I see some people said that they couldn't see, that they were still on the stick people. Are y'all caught up now? You should be able to see number 4, include regular and varied exposure. And then you should be able to see Sylvie and the interpreter Tammy.
Yeah, Tammy's freezing up a little bit today. Okay, perfect. I'm getting some yes, great. So another thing that's important, again, is being surrounded by a language. Somebody's on number 4 and cannot see the people at all. Yes, that's fine. Number 4 is good. Number 4 is good. How do we are spotlighted. You may be using, Amber, you may be using a device. Maybe if you slide your phone, if you're using a phone or a tablet, if you slide where you have a gallery view, you might be able to see more people. And I don't know if I'm dreaming, but I think Tammy's freezing again a little bit. Tammy, can you give us a wave? It's a little freezing wave. It's coming back. I think it's coming back. Okay. So exposure to language. The beauty of living, there you go, Amber, thank you. The beauty of living in the time that we live in now is that the technology is out there. You can be exposed to sign language a lot. And one thing that I would really encourage you to do is to watch sign language videos that you don't understand and to actually copy them, meaning that you like a 1-year-old child does when adults are speaking around them. You're watching a video and with your hands, you just copy what you see, copy the facial expressions, copy the body movements. And even if you don't understand what you're signing, even if you're not doing it properly. And what I would like to do right now is, if we can take a couple of minutes, I have a little short 2-minute video with different clips from around the web. Troy Kotzer that we see here is a deaf actor. There's a lady named Moza, M-O-Z-A, from a graduate from Gallaudet University, and a short sample by Peter Cook, who is a fantastic deaf storyteller and associate professor at Columbia College in Chicago. It is 2 minutes. I tell you what, if we can just do maybe 1 minute of it, because we're running low on time, and set your device down, watch what you're saying, and just copy everything that you're saying to the best of your ability with body movements and facial expression. I'm going to press play right now so that we don't waste any more time. There we go. And there's no sound, so don't be surprised if there's no sound. Here it is. Please tell me it's going to work. And somehow, the video is not playing. Oh, there we go. Alrighty, thank you for bearing with me for a minute. And the reason why I had you do that, I hope that you all tried it at home. I'll go back to that slide because I have some more information about it. I hope you all tried it at home, but this kind of exposure to sign language is just like a child imitating their the people around them. And if you were to do that a couple of minutes a day, that would give you an hour a month. That would give you 12 hours of really strong exposure to sign language. Go on the web, find videos, find children videos, find adult, there's deaf poetry, there's the social medias full of deaf people posting videos. And even if you don't understand what they're saying, just spend 2 minutes copying and you will see your ability to understand sign language, to produce sign language and comprehend the grammar. It's going to grow tremendously. Other places to have exposure to sign language is School for the Deaf homecoming games or theater or other events. Just look at the local School for the Deaf or deaf program that you may have in your area. There's a lot of coffee chats, a lot of locations where there's bowling events. And then if all else fails, use technology. We have video calls and video chat galores now with FaceTime, WhatsApp, Duolingo, Telegram, and whatever other Glide or whatever other apps that's out there. And so you can actually have a communication with a deaf person. So expose yourself constantly. And these are basically in a nutshell, the 4 main techniques. There are more. You can use poetry, you can learn to memorize signs with music and things like this. But basically my point today is to be positive. It is possible for you to learn and become good at it. Start communicating right away as soon as you know a word or a sign, use it. Choose topics and vocabularies that are relevant to your life and your relationship. Make sure that you have something to say. Your communication has to be meaningful. Don't just, recite a list of items with no meaning. And then include regular and varied exposure. Last thing I want to share with you is in our area, I asked a few local teachers, mostly in the Baton Rouge Lafayette area. They are more around the states that I personally didn't get their contact information before this workshop. But if you want to put your device horizontal and take a screenshot of this, these are good deaf teachers and programs that you can reach out to. Thank you, Gary, for your wonderful comment. So if anybody wants to look at, maybe save these if you're interested in a class. And we have just a few minutes, about 3-4 minutes. If anybody has questions, I'm going to stop sharing. If anybody has comments or questions, we'll entertain the most pressing ones.
Thank you, Sylvie. I just wanted to make one more comment about if anyone is outside of Louisiana and you are curious about finding someone maybe virtually, there is a Facebook group called, I think it's ASL Cooperative Deaf Mentors and Tutors, something like that. I can try to pull up the link in just a minute and share that with y'all, but that is a way for you to find someone either locally or virtually that is deaf and able to do like one-on-one or like small groups, private tutoring or lessons in ASL.
True.
But the deaf chat coffee stuff, the deaf night out, all that stuff is a great way for sure to get involved and get immersed.
And I just typed also liveprint.com, which is a nice resource. It doesn't give you the live interaction, but it's a good way to get started as well. Thank you. Anybody? Any other thoughts or comments or questions? It went by fast for me. I hope it did for you guys too. And feel free to turn your cameras on at this time, I guess. Thank you. Thank you, Terry. Yes, thanks to the interpreters, they were able to keep up, and we have to work together after that eventually. So, you know, I got to be nice to them.
Sorry about the freezing.
That's a good question. We have somebody that says, let me see. Advanced classes around Baton Rouge. Well, there were, right? Natalie, there are some teachers that teach advanced classes. I don't know, LSD was doing it. I don't know if they are currently doing. What do you know?
Sorry, I was making sure that everyone was able to turn on their video. Someone said they could.
Yeah.
So speaking about LSD's ASL classes, I know for this fall, they're only doing, I think it's just ASL 1 and maybe 2. I don't think they're doing the higher level classes because there wasn't enough interest. But if you are interested in a higher level class, please email our ASL coordinator and tell her like, hey, for the spring, I would really like ASL 3 or 4, whatever level that you're looking for, just so she can have like proof, like, okay, I have enough people that are interested, and then she can set up that class for you. But in the meantime, if you are wanting to continue learning, then I would just suggest with getting with someone that's doing it one-on-one, like Walker or Amy, someone that's able to keep you, fresh until that class gets back started. I will put the ASL coordinator's email in the chat. Did you put Alice's email on the PowerPoint, Sylvie?
Yes, I'm happy to share the PowerPoint again right here. So on the left, Louisiana School for the Deaf, Ala is the ASL Services Coordinator, right?
ASL Services Coordinator. Yes, that's it.
Yes. California, someone is asking about California. I'm sure there are tons of resources. California is a big hub for deaf people.
Yeah, I would probably contact maybe the Association for the Deaf over there. Someone asked about classes in the New Orleans or Slidell area. Lighthouse used to have some classes. I don't think they've been hosting any classes recently. But I think the Deaf Baptist Church is hosting some classes every so often. I'm not sure if they're doing it right now. I think during COVID, they kind of paused on that. But someone did share a link just now that Oklahoma School for the Deaf just extended their registration for free virtual classes. Those are pre-recorded classes, so it's a little bit of a different vibe compared to like live interaction with other people. But that is a good option to start off with. And someone mentioned that Delgado Community College also has some classes as well.
Oh, I just fixed the video thing, I think. Yeah.
Sorry, Delgado was in the New Orleans area, for those who don't know.
There you go. Amber starting with Alan next week. Very nice. I'll go ahead and stop sharing, assuming everybody has taken this. Nice.
Yay, hi.
Very nice. Thank you all for joining. And that's it. I think if you want to promote your next events, Natalie, I think now is the time.
So we have workshops every month that are offered virtually. I think our next one, let me see if I can pull up the link for y'all.
Also, if everybody sees Dominique, she She's one of my physical therapists that's trying to fix my shoulder right now. Thank you, Dominique. Glad you're here. So I can keep working.
So, okay, I just dropped the link for our virtual workshop calendar. I'm updating our November and December ones on there. Our next one is going to be on educational advocacy for parents or caregivers of deaf and hard of hearing children. So that's going to be focused more on like IEPs, 504s, IFSPs. And then after that, in November, we have a sign a story with me. So that's going to be where you can follow along learning how to sign a story in ASL with us. We're going to do like a wintertime story. And then in December, we're going to be doing a workshop on deaf children who use devices like assistive technology, alternative and augmentative communication. So if you have a child with an additional disability that needs a device or kind of picture communication system, that would be a great workshop for you. But all of our stuff is posted on our social media pages. So if you are curious about other workshops that we're doing, other events in your area, we are traveling throughout the state live and in person if you want to see my face in person. So yeah, just follow along and see if you want to join us at any future events. If you are not sure of an ASL class in your area, I am happy to chat with you. Just email me and I can see if I can find something that's close to you, if I can connect you with the resource that I know of. I'll drop my email in the chat so that you can reach out to me.
Muchas gracias. De nada. Thank you, everybody. And a little shout out to the gentleman who joined us today. You guys are a little bit more rare in this field, and we appreciate you all very much. Mr. Gary, Mr. Clifford. Alrighty. Well, I'm done. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you so much, Sylvie. Sylvie, do you want to put your email in the chat for everybody?
Sure. Not sure that a resource, but there we go. There we go. And Natalie, if you need the PowerPoint, there's not a lot on it that people may want to review, but I'll send it to you anyways.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. If y'all need anything, you can reach out to us and we'll be happy to help.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank y'all. Have a good night.